Welcome to New Dork City. Today, I'm thrilled to have a very special guest, Mr. Alex Finn. Alex has made a significant mark in the digital world as the #1 live streamer on X, captivating audiences with his unique and engaging content. But he's not just streaming and making sensational content, he's also a prolific writer, being the mastermind behind the largest publication on X. His entrepreneurial spirit shines through his company, 1% Better, reflecting his commitment to continuous improvement and innovation. With an impressive 29,000 subscribers eagerly awaiting his newsletter updates and a robust following of 175,000 on X, Alex is a thought leader whose insights and experiences are bound to inspire us all. Let's dive into his journey and get started and have some fun. Welcome, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. I've been excited for this conversation. I've been watching your journey for a while. I love the things you're doing. I love the new app Maple you just put out. I'm really inspired by it, so I'm pumped to be here.
I appreciate it. Thanks. It's kind coming from you. A lot of people look up to you as a brilliant content creator, and you really have gone from nothing to something big. And before we get started, we've got 5 segments of the show I'm excited about diving in. I would love for you just to tell the audience a little bit about your journey from basically unknown on X to essentially making a very good living and having a blast. Walk everybody through it if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've been on X for 2 years, and I've been able to build a business on it, which has been really amazing. I started tweeting almost exactly 2 years ago to the day when I bought my not my first NFT, but an NFT a lot of people know me for, which is the monkey, which my profile picture is. I bought it. $30,000 picture of a cartoon monkey, which might make some of the audience cringe a bit. But doing that, I bought it, and I'm like, I have to start creating content
There's
now. Like,
something
I'm
I got to
not
do with this.
I have to do something. I can't just buy a $30,000 picture of a monkey and just sit here and do nothing, right? I can't let that go to waste. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a brand around this. And I started tweeting. I started putting out my thoughts about everything and anything. You know, I come from the tech space. I have a comp sci degree, was a developer, was a tech consultant, did a little bit of everything in the tech space. And so I just started putting my thoughts out about NFTs, technology, programming, entrepreneurship, content creation, all that. And people seem to have been interested because over the course of 2 years, I've been able to grow the biggest X-focused newsletter in the space, and also able to grow a pretty big X following. So I've been
It's
lucky
been
enough to be able to,
impressive.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
been impressive to watch, and you've actually given me a lot of content ideas and a lot of inspiration, and I really appreciate your grittiness and your positivity and your creativity. It's fun to see. I mean, you're to the point now where it feels like some of the thoughts you're having are getting on Elon's radar and affecting a couple things at X. I believe talking about the algorithm was something that happened. So why don't you briefly touch on that?
Yeah, I've had a few different tipping points as a creator on X. I'd say the biggest one probably came in August of this year. Uh, Elon open sourced the algorithm. And I think if I was to put my finger on one particularly strong skill set I have, that would be taking really technical concepts and making them easy to understand for anybody. It's been my job the last 10 years when I was a tech consultant, right? You talk to non-technical people and have to explain technical concepts. And so what I did was I took the open sourced algorithm, which Elon uploaded to GitHub. I went through the code and I basically just started creating content around what the code meant and what people should learn from it. And it took me to, I think, another level of content creation because it got, I started getting engagements from Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, all these other creators and big names in the industry started engaging with my content because of it. So that was definitely, I think, the niche that kind of put me on the map.
Awesome. It's interesting how no matter how far we get abstracted from bare metal code, with no code tools, low code tools, there still is this immense power in being able to read code and understand it. And it's fascinating that you were able to have a look at the algorithm and make some adjustments to how you create content. And I still feel like we're in a world where understanding code still gives you superpower. I think that's kind of interesting to see how you did that. So let's dive into our segments on the show, and then we'll freeform at the end. I sent over a couple questions ahead of time, and the first segment is called Future Forecast, where we discuss our predictions on how emerging technologies are going to evolve and influence our lives. I want to focus on the next 5 years because that's kind of practical, more real. What technology do you believe will most significantly change our everyday lives the next 5 years?
I think the easy generic answer anyone would give is AI, but just to kind of go a step further into it is AI that is customized and built for hyper specific micro use cases.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Because the AI, obviously, I think most people would agree, is a landscape shifting, potentially most important technological advancement of our lifetime. The issue is okay, if it's so ground shifting and amazing, then why is 99% of the use cases that people use with AI like roasting their friends, writing poems that make fun of people,
Right.
trying to get the AI to say something political so that you can screenshot it and send it to your friends and say, "Oh my God, can you believe what Chat GPT just said?"
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have this landscape shifting technology. It seems like 99% of people are using it incorrectly. Not even incorrectly, just not using it
Not
nearly
effectively.
to its not using it all to its full potential, right? And so my hypothesis is that if you give the power for people to do everything, they'll do nothing, right?
Yes. 100% agree.
It's like Chat GPT-4, people are saying Gemini might be more powerful. Who knows? But people sit there in front of GPT-4, one of the most incredible advancements in human
In human history.
history, and they don't know what to do with it. It's like sitting there, write me a poem about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right?
I know. It's hard
Like,
to believe, isn't it? So give me an example of like a hyper specific or verticalized AI or LLM that you can imagine, someone in your sphere using who isn't hyper, technical or into AI.
so this kind of goes into what your next question was going to be around highlight a current app or tool, but I'm going to start going into anyway. But
Do
like
it.
one that's really blown my mind is GitHub CoPilot, right? So I've been a developer my whole adult life. It was my job when I came out of school. It's what my degree is in. I've been doing it as a side project since. But when I got my hands on GitHub Copilot over the last couple months, it's totally changed the way I program. And
Interesting.
I was a solid developer before, but it is totally like 10x my efficiency, allowed me to think in different ways about programming, come up with alternative solutions. It's literally like having a friend pair program with me. And for those who don't know what GitHub Copilot is it's a plugin for your development environment. So as you're
Mm.
coding, you have this little window next to your programming environment, and you can say, "Hey, Copilot, take a look at the code I just wrote. Would you change anything about it? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make it do this? Or I want to add this functionality to my code. Can you help me build that?" And be like, "Oh yeah, so you did this wrong. Fix this, but then also make sure you do this. Here's the 10 reasons why you need to do it this way.
Wow.
And here's what you can add to make things more efficient." And it's not only amazing because it helps you code more efficiently, it's also amazing because it makes me feel like I'm actually interacting with a human being, which is something I've never felt before when interacting with technology.
Yeah, it's wild. I agree. You and I have talked a lot about how we can, superpower our engineering skills and kind of our everything skills with LLMs. And I agree with you. I think hyper verticalized guided AI experiences are the future. And I fundamentally disagree with people who think that this idea of a wrapper around an LLM is not a good idea. I think actually
Sure.
what you're doing is you're harnessing essentially amazing intelligence and you're guiding it in a user experience that people need and want and are happy to pay for. So I'm with you on that. So let's dive in. So is that your gadget gallery, which is your current app that you're excited about, is Copilot?
Yeah, that is just because it's done a few things for me. It's made programming a whole lot more exciting again, but it's also made it a lot easier for me to go from concept to actual product. Like my
Mm.
big issue before is I have a million different ideas, but the execution was the challenging part, whether it took more time or whether I didn't know how to do it. There were so many things that got in the way for me actually executing on making a lot of these ideas. And GitHub CoPilot kind of fixed that for me, where I'm building my own kind of AI wrapper app right now, which I am in complete agreement with you. It's like saying, "Oh, what is this? Just another database wrapper app?" Like databases are like a technology that powers incredible use cases. AI is
Right.
the same thing. It's a technology that powers incredible use cases. I don't
I
see
agree.
why that's a slur saying it's an AI wrapper app.
Right. It's
Like,
like
oh, this is a
you didn't
JavaScript
create.
wrapper app you're making.
I know. I totally agree with you. One of my current gadget gallery is called V0 by Vercel. It's at v0.dev. And it's essentially an LLM that allows you to create user interfaces. And it pumps out React components for you. And it's just mind blowing. I think all these things I thought you just needed humans to do, including myself, are able now to do with LLMs. And it's just going to be so fun to see where this goes. I was just playing with AudioBox, which is Meta's new release, where you essentially can record your voice and output audio in any other voice or format. And I just think content creation and app creation is just going to be so much fun in the future. So looking for that. So let's move on to Everyday Einstein, where we break down a complex tech topic in a way that's easy to understand for folks. So what's something you understand deeply that you feel like the average person doesn't, that you can explain?
I might go in a different direction from this answer than probably what you were looking for from an answer to this
Yeah.
question. I think a concept that most people I talk to when it comes to technology, uh, when I go to kind of people who are not as into tech and I go, oh, you got to be learning tech, you got to be learning programming, all this, it seems like 90% of the time over last year, the answer I'm getting is, oh, well, AI is just going to make programming, you don't need a program anymore. Like, why would you
Mm.
learn programming? AI is going to replace that. And it's been such like a lazy answer for people to have when it comes to technology. Like, oh, why would you need to learn any of that? AI is just going to replace it. And I really strongly don't believe that AI is going to replace programmers. I think it's going to make it more efficient for programmers to work. But I think the day that AI and computers can program better than human beings is like the day the apocalypse happens, because then the robots will just create better programs than us and then conquer the world and destroy us all. So
Well, see, I
yeah,
think
go
that
ahead.
I think that will happen. Like, if we can believe the benchmarks from Gemini Ultra, um, it can code better than 85% of competitive programmers in the world, which basically means it's better than any programmer you and I know, right? Now, but I don't think that is what causes creation, though. It's just like saying, hey, if you have a brilliant scientist, no one is ever going to use science again, right? Whereas I think because we all have now access to essentially the best programmers in the world to be our co-pilots, like you said, to create with us, I think it's going to be an element of where you really collaborate with probably programmers that are better than yourself, but that doesn't mean that they're deciding which companies to build or which products to ship. That's the way I think it's going to shake out. But we'll see. I do think we're entering a world where junior developers or junior anything knowledge workers, I do think that's kind of going away. This idea that you're going to get hired at a company to kind of learn on the job. I don't see that being a reality. So let's talk about that for a second. So if you're a manager at a company or you're running a company in the next 5 years, are you going to be hiring kind of junior level people to do work? Are you expecting them to come in and already have built things using AI with as their co-creators?
Yeah, I agree with you on that point where I think kind of the junior level is going away. I mean, there's many reasons for that. AI is one of those reasons. Also, I think the tightening of budgets at tech companies. I worked in a lot of tech companies over the last 10 years in my career, and there was a lot of bloat. The mindset at a lot of these tech companies
Yeah.
was very much literally just hire anyone with like a pulse that
Right.
is expressed
It's not
interest in the
good.
job, hire them and give them whatever salary they ask for, just give that to them. And I think over the last 2 years, that is kind of the pendulum starts swinging the other way, where now a lot of these tech companies are like, oh crap, we've burnt a lot of money and money is drying up. And so where at least when I was managing at a tech company last year, it all of a sudden became the directive only hire the most experienced, must hire people. So I agree with you, junior levels are going to disappear, but I think the laws of energy is energy never disappears. It kind of just
Mm.
transfers and moves. And so while junior roles might be disappearing, for those same people, those junior level people, they can now go to their computer at home, go on GitHub CoPilot, and build an amazing application that then they put out and sell as a SaaS product and make thousands of dollars a month off of. And
Right.
they have opportunities to do that now. So while the opportunities of like junior level roles making, not a livable income have disappeared, you now have opportunities to do really other amazing things
To
because of that
create
same
income.
technology.
It's so interesting because I just came across a solopreneur named Mark Liu, and he basically launched something called Ship Fast. And Ship Fast is essentially a boilerplate SaaS app, right? It's built in Next.js. You can choose TypeScript or JavaScript. It comes in with the database kind of hooked in already. It's basically a SaaS app in a box. Yes, you need to know how to code, but you can get that for I think it's 199 bucks. So you could essentially teach yourself the basics of React slash Next.js, buy something like Ship Fast, and he's not sponsoring the show or anything. I just think it's an interesting product. Build something in a week, get it out, try to get customers, experience like actually how to market things and sell things and build products people want, and iterate a couple times then, like you said. And then in theory, if you're young and you're a junior, you don't have a lot of burn anyway. So create a small company, create something real, get real customers. And then if you decide I'd rather join a team, you come in with actual experience. Or you maybe just love the freedom, and you just become a solopreneur, and control your own destiny. So I think you're right. It'll be fascinating to see how that shapes out. And I tell them, I'm talking to my kids nonstop about this stuff now. Like, hey, this is the way it's going to be. All right, let's keep going. So
Just to
I
add
would
on to
love,
that real quick, though, I think there's also the third path, which is just creating multiple streams of income. Where I was doing this before I quit my job to do X full time, where I was, and I thought, honestly, I thought I was going to do. I never thought I'd quit my job to do this, but times changed. But
so
I
exciting.
thought like I was going to stay at my job at the tech company and just run my newsletter and my Twitter on the side and keep those dual kind of incomes coming in, which
Right.
was the most money I was making in my entire life. But I decided the upside's much higher here. But I see a lot of people doing that as well, where they work their standard 9 to 5 job and just have like side businesses that are ultra optimized, ultra efficient because of AI, and they can just
Yep.
have their entire business on the side that they run with their 9 to 5.
It's so exciting, and I actually think it's not just vaporware, infomercial, information products, BS anymore. I think that people can build real products, and whether they're SaaS or one time payment models, I think people can build a real living off it. It's exciting. So,
Yeah.
all right. So let's go to our next segment, which is called Summit Story. And I would love for you to share what I'm calling a peak experience, a pivotal, triumphant moment of realization where you really realized something big happened in my life and is it impacting me. So could you share a peak moment you've had at any point in your life or recently? It would be fun to hear that story.
Yeah, so I look back to one moment in my career that kind of changed everything for me. It was when I was 25 years old. And so for my entire life, up to 25 years old, from 0 to 25, Just thought I was a straight up idiot. Just thought I was a stupid person.
That's
Like
not
I just,
fair.
I
Wow.
accepted it. Like, and it wasn't like a woe is me. I felt bad for myself. Like I was like, oh, I'm just like, I just have a lower intelligence than most people, and that's the
That's
way it is.
crazy. I didn't realize you felt like that.
Yeah, for the record, I'm 33 right now, so it's been 8 years removed from this experience. But like, I got terrible grades in school, elementary school, middle school, high school, terrible
Really?
grades, C minus student. College, terrible grades, 2.4 GPA. I just was not good at anything I did in my life, like from 0 to 25.
Did you lack motivation, or was it just hard to get good grades, or a mix of both?
Both. I lacked motivation because it turned out, well, for a lot of different reasons. One, I didn't like anything I was doing. I hated every subject being taught to me in school. I hated history,
Right.
math,
Not motivated.
everything, science, biology, all hated it all. Just hated it all. And when I'm doing things I don't like, I'm not motivated. So it was one of those vicious circles where I'm not motivated, so I do poorly, and
Yep.
I'm not motivated because I am doing poorly.
Right.
So
Just keeps going.
that. But I knew I was like a nerd, so I knew I liked computers. So I got into computer science and was a developer and kind of faked my way for the first 25 years of my life. Just I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to fake it my entire life to
Right.
until I
Fake it
hopefully one day I
forever.
can retire. Yeah, like I just need to convince people I'm not stupid. And then
That's fascinating.
yeah, and then at 25 years old, I am a tech consultant at an analytics company. And this analytics company was trying to sell their analytics software to Grinder. And I was like the tech consultant. They came to me, and I'm like the only person on the tech consultant team who had programming background. So they went, listen, we need to sell to Grinder, but can you go and like build us a quick iOS dating app? And I'm thinking like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to
All
now
right.
actually do something. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm like, yeah, sure. And
Sure.
so I go, the guns to my head. I have to figure this out. I go quickly learn like iOS programming. I build like a dating app through Swift. And I install the analytics software, get set up. I ship it. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna know I'm a fraud. And they use that demo for Grinder. They close the deal. It's like a $500,000 deal.
No.
The CEO sends out like an email to the company and is like, "We closed the deal. This is amazing. Alex's demo app got the deal done." And I sat there and I had this realization that changed my entire life, which was like, if I just like put the effort in and strive to get a little better and learn something new and like get uncomfortable and try new things, I can actually like improve. And what the change was before 25, I had like a static mindset where I thought I was just stuck there and I was stupid, which I was stupid. I was a stupid person before 25. The issue was I never thought I could get better. At 25, I had that moment. I realized, okay, no, I actually could get better if I actually put effort in and work. And I made that shift from static mindset to growth mindset. And that is what spurred me to all the success I've had in my life up to this point, which was
Wow.
and spurred my business. My business is called 1% Better because of the growth mindset and wanting to get better. And that's gotten me to where I am now, which is I own my own business and it's doing well and all that. But that
Wow.
one moment shifted me from static to growth mindset and really changed my life.
Gosh, that is amazing. The it, to go through that where they said, okay, build this app, and you didn't even know Swift and you hadn't done it before. How did you get through that period where you're like, okay, I'm building this thing, I still don't know what I'm doing, and just not being terrified of being revealed for not knowing what you're doing? How did you actually get through that?
Yeah, so this is my second job. My first job, I was a software developer, fired after 2 years. This is my second job. And I'm like, if I screw this up, I can't get fired again. I'll never get a job for the rest of my
I
life.
gotta succeed.
No one will hire me if I get fired from my first two jobs. Like, no, I'm going to be totally unemployable at 25
Right.
years old. And
Right.
so that kind of pressure, like literal gun to the head pressure,
Wow.
it forced me to do it. I went home, for literally 10 days straight. I sat there and like did every Swift tutorial on the planet, tried a million different things, just kept going over and over and over. And, my base of programming knowledge, because I did have the comp sci degree, helped, but I had to learn this whole new thing. And just that pressure of do this or you're never getting a job ever again forced
Wow.
me to figure it out.
It's refreshing to actually hear, it wasn't some sort of inspiration or motivation, or you decided to do it. It was like, no, I got to do this. I can't get fired. And I think that's actually refreshingly honest. I love it. And I also think it's interesting that you perceived yourself as dumb or an idiot. Those are some of the things you said, but the reality is those were just like frameworks that society had put on you that you had decided to buy into, but they obviously weren't true. Like the way you think about intelligence and the way it's measured and how it matters obviously didn't matter
Yeah,
because
I
you're
measured
successful, you're having a
myself.
good time.
As you just said, I measured myself by the metric society gave me, which was my grades in school, my grades in college, how many friends I had, if I was good at basketball. I stunk at all of those things because I bought into those metrics so much. And then I realized those metrics don't matter. The only metric that matters is how much effort am I putting in to become a better person. And once
Wow.
I figured out that was the actual metric that mattered, that controlled everything else, then it's just a total shift in my life.
Wow. Gosh, that is an amazing summit story. And I appreciate you sharing it. And
Of course.
it's cool to see where it came from down here and then ended up there. So the last segment is called Fear Frontier, which could also have been your summit story. But Fear Frontier is where you really dive into a moment or a story when you were afraid. Something was really hard or scary. And then you somehow got through it and what you learned. Would love to hear your Fear Frontier story.
Yeah, that's probably from this year, probably from April this year. I don't even know if I've gone through it, to be quite honest with you. I might be in my fear moment right
We'll
now.
get through it together. Let's go.
Yes. As I've mentioned 100 times in this conversation, I was in tech my entire life. I achieved really all my career goals at 33 when I just enjoy the pressure. I enjoy the pressure. I enjoy, being responsible for big things and having a lot of responsibilities. And I always just wanted to be in leadership at a tech company and like do strategic things and build things out. And I achieved that over the last few years when I went into leadership for a tech consulting team at a major software company. And, that was my career goal. I accomplished it at basically 31.
Wow.
And was making more money than I ever thought I could make in my career.
Mm.
And I decided to quit. I decided to quit
That is
because
scary.
my X was taking off and my newsletter was taking off. And while that was my career goal, of getting into leadership at a tech company, my life goal was to build something of my own and to build a company of my own and create value for myself. And I saw this as my best shot ever to do that when
Wow.
my ex got to like 120,000 followers, my newsletter's at 20,000, it hit like six figures of revenue. And I thought, if I'm going to build something of my own, it's now or never. I'm 33. I'm probably going to have kids in the next few years. Not that you can't build something your own. You have kids and you're building something your own.
It's
But
harder.
things get a little bit more complicated when you have
Exactly.
to provide. And right
Yep.
now I'm not providing for anybody except for myself. And so
Yep.
this seemed like the best chance I had. And so I wouldn't say I threw it all away because there's value to be taken from all of those experiences, but I quit to do this full time. And I always envisioned quitting to do my own thing was going to be euphoric and be the best day of my entire life. And like I would wake up every morning with a pep in my step. It's actually been the scariest thing of my entire life. Um,
I bet that's terrifying to walk away from a stable, high-paying job that you probably could have just waltzed through your career and ended up in upper senior executive management and XYZ to do your own thing. So
yeah.
what so what are a couple of things you do Well, tell me about like a feeling then that you experience pretty regularly as you go through this fear frontier, and then what do you do when you feel that way?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest feeling or negative feeling, or I don't know how to quite word it, the biggest sensation I'm trying to fix is the feeling that I'm not doing enough. And
Oh, interesting.
so when you work a 9 to 5 and have a job and a boss and there's structure around you, you have OKRs, you have metrics, you have everything is measured, right?
Yep.
You have one-on-ones a week every week, and your boss goes, "This is what you're doing right. This is what you're doing wrong." Then you
Yeah.
have raises and promotions every year, and you get exact quantification of what's going on in
Yes.
your career. When you work for yourself and you're a solopreneur like I am, none of that exists. You don't have any sort of feedback whatsoever, other than, for me, the amount of likes you're getting on a post or the amount of purchases you're getting of the premium
Yep.
newsletter or the purchase of the digital products, whatever it is. And all of those things are very volatile depending on
Right.
what's going on at that moment. And but the thing is, if you invest too much in those metrics and engagement or sales, you're going to go on a mental roller coaster that's going to burn you out very, very fast.
Right.
So the sensation I'm trying to fight is um, being aware that I'm making progress without being dependent on the really obvious metrics. And a lot of the time, that just comes from reflection and gratitude, which are two things I am pretty poor at. Um, I don't reflect.
Those are
I'm
hard
not as
things.
grateful as I should be. I'm always thinking about what's next, what don't I have, what do I got to build out, what am I behind on? And
Mm.
I spend very little time looking at what have I accomplished this point, what is done already, what should I be grateful for? And so
Right.
that's something I'm working on at the moment is, I'm accomplishing a lot. There's a lot of great things going on I should be grateful for. I need to spend a couple more minutes a day thinking about those things as well, instead of thinking about what do I got to get done? What do I got to get done? Because that'll burn you
Yeah.
out.
It's hard though. Like I've
Yeah.
been an entrepreneur since 2004, right? And I can 100% identify with that. Yes, when I was running Treehouse and it was a big company, we had OKRs and we set them, and I could look at how the company was doing, but there was always the question of what am I doing exactly, and have I done enough today? Yes, I reported the board, but there's not that direct feedback like you're saying. And now that I'm running Maple and I'm effectively a solopreneur, there is the same struggle. Like, gosh, I could be doing 10 more things today. Should I be doing those, or have I done enough? And the way that I'm currently dealing with that is I basically have a set of recurring tasks where it's like, okay, X amount of times this week I should be doing Y, things. And it's almost like trusting the process of like, if I do this on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I check it off and I do it well, I need to trust the process that if I do that for a quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, a year, then results will happen. But it's that time where there's the lack of feedback, right? Where you're thinking, I'm doing the stuff, but yet is this long-term sustainable, results? Or yeah, I get it. I don't know if there is an answer to that. I almost think that's what being an entrepreneur is, and it kind of sucks sometimes.
Sometimes you need that pressure to kind of push you forward. If you woke up every day and it's all roses and daisies, then maybe you don't go as hard as you can. I guess you do need that healthy amount of stress. The question is where's that line between healthy stress and unhealthy stress, and how do you make sure you're on the right side of it at all times?
I don't know. I'm pretty convinced that I'm gonna, like, the day that I die, whenever that is, I'll be like, oh, I still didn't figure it out, and then you're dead, right? So
I'm
I think
very
that's
sure of
what
that
it's.
as well. I get my girlfriend asks me all the time, well, like when are you going to be satisfied? Like you always just seem stressed out.
Never.
Like when's the day when you're like, okay, now I'm happy with what I got? And I'm like, oh, when I accomplish this, but I can also guarantee you when I accomplish that, I will find like a new goalpost to go after.
Yeah. I think for entrepreneurs or solopreneurs or creators, I actually don't think you are that type of person. So if someone's waiting for you to become that person, you have to say, I'm never gonna be that person. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting because Jill and I, my wife and I, we're very opposite. And I'm the entrepreneur. Brinkley, my dog, wants to join the conversation, but yeah, I'm the entrepreneur. She's the level-headed, steady state, dependable, long-term person, whereas I'm the idea, energy person. And actually, we work very well. We've been married 20 years, yeah, it's an interesting dance. So we got a couple minutes left, and those are the segments of the show. They were fun to go through. I'm curious. I have a question about your newsletter strategy and your content strategy. I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, newsletters are as old as it feels like the internet.
Yeah.
In fact, they're older. I think my dad used to have like an investment newsletter that was like an actual thing that went out in the post, and this just doesn't seem to go away. Like, what is it about newsletters that works or doesn't work, and why is it an important part of your strategy? Like, why not just pump out content and then occasionally release, a paid XYZ? Help us understand the newsletter.
Many reasons. The main reason why newsletters are great from the highest level is it is very monetizable. Newsletters, whether it's through sponsorships or selling products, whatever it is, it's great at monetizing your business. Now, you said newsletters been around forever. They have been. I think they constantly go through swings, right? Where when I started the newsletter 2 years ago, it was on a swing where not really any people were doing it. And so there was not many being sent out. Now we're on the other side of the swing where every time I go on X, I have 30,000 newsletters shoved down my throat that I'm being asked to sign up for. I sign up for them. I go in my email. Now I'm being sent 90,000 newsletters a day from all these different people. The strategy now, in fact, is like it used to be like weekly newsletters with like tons of value. Now people's strategy is daily newsletters that actually don't say much at all. They're just trying to get in front of you as much as possible. And I think we're going to see the pendulum swing again, where people are going to be sick and tired of newsletters, and people will stop selling them, signing up for them, clicking on them, and that'll cause people to stop creating them. And we'll just keep swinging back and forth. The point being, though, is that if you are a creator on X or really any platform, like every platform has a culture, right? When you go on Instagram, you expect to see bikini models drinking athletic greens and giving you a 25% off code, right? Like that's the culture. You go on, you don't get surprised when you see it. When you go on YouTube, you expect every video to be like, oh, by the way, we're sponsored by Ridge Wallet, sign up for 50% off your Ridge Wallet, right? But when you go on X, it's actually very against the culture to advertise things. If you go on anyone's feed and you look at their posts, the posts where they're talking about their product or selling you something always performs 30 times worse than anything else they're putting out. Right? And it really hurts your standing in the algorithm. You expect to see advertisements. You expect to see advertisements. You expect to see products. You expect to see sponsorships. You expect to see Black Friday deals. Right? And so when you get those newsletters, you don't think, oh, what is this? Why am I being advertised to?
I'm annoyed.
Right. And so, the reason why I started the newsletter was I don't want to sell on my X. I want my X to be my top of the funnel, get as many eyeballs as humanly possible into my ecosystem. And then I put them further down my funnel to my newsletter where then I do the selling. And so I love the newsletter because it's the part of my funnel where I can sell and monetize and make money. I don't sell anything on X. Like I don't advertise any of my products on X. I push people to my newsletter. Those are the people who really trust me. And then once I got that trust in my further down my funnel, that's where I talk about my products and services. And so
Makes sense.
That's the way I use it. The issue is now everyone's got a newsletter, and so I kind of have to fight that dilution. But as long as you love writing and as long as you enjoy the art of writing a newsletter, it won't matter how diluted it is. You'll rise above kind of the noise.
Got it. What if you put your time into buckets over a week? Walk us through the big buckets and roughly what percentage is in each bucket.
My biggest bucket is content creation. So again, my funnel is top of the funnel X and my content. Then it goes down and it's my newsletter. Then it's my private community. And then from there, it's like my digital products. I have courses. I'm about to release software. I have a bunch of different things. I do consulting, I do coaching, I work with companies, I work with individual content creators. And so I have this bottom of the funnel set up already, right? You go to my newsletter, and whenever you get my newsletter, at the bottom of each newsletter is, want to work with me? Here's my products. Click here for any of my products. So that's done. That's automated. It's all automated through emails.
Yep.
I don't have to think about that anymore. So where my effort goes to is the very top of the funnel. And my thesis is the more people I get into the top of the funnel, the more people that will trickle down to the bottom and eventually see my products. So I spend 60, 70% of my week writing posts, doing spaces, doing live streams, anything that pulls people into my top of the funnel. And then from there, in kind of an automated fashion, they go down, they read my newsletters, they see my products, they buy my products, they buy my services, and I don't even have to think about that. So it's 70% getting people in the top of the funnel, probably 15% executing on, whatever it is, whether it's the services they're buying or fixing the products they're buying, and then 15% pushing the ball forward, I call it. And so that's 15% like improving my website, building out the software, building new products. That's kind of the pushing the ball forward. And my goal is to eventually get to a point where it's easy enough on the content side where I can spend less time on the 70%. And whether it's me building out a team that's going to do it for me or whatever it is, getting that automated so I can put more time into the moving the ball forward side, which I think will only increase my leverage way more.
Got it. Now, the blunt truth is, you and I and everyone who's creating content and working hard to deliver value, ultimately we're thinking about revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so because you have to, right? And so you're obviously targeting all your content eventually at a hopeful outcome where it generates revenue for you. Do you have a persona in mind of a person that you're creating content for and the value you're trying to deliver to them with everything you do, or is it something much more broad than that?
Yeah, I have a persona, and so most of the content I build, write, film, whatever, the newsletters, the tweets, the videos, it's all around improving kind of the person I was a couple years ago, which was someone working a 9-to-5 in this space, but always wanting to do a little bit more, whether it's starting my own business, whether it's creating content, whether it's learning something new. You always kind of have this urge inside your heart that's like, I wish I was doing something a little bit more, not just doing whatever the man's telling me to do. Yep. And so that's the persona I go for, and how to learn new skills, how to learn program. I create content around how to build products, how to write better content, how to be a better creator. I'm building basically for the person I was 2 years ago and trying to create something I would find valuable when I was that person.
Right. Essentially, when you had your peak experience where you realized, oh my God, I can actually improve. And then you're hungry for knowledge. It's like, okay. So
I'm trying to give that moment to as many people as I can sooner than I got it.
That's awesome. I love it. Random question. How much sleep did you get last night?
Last night I got probably 6 hours, 45 minutes. I got into bed probably 7.5 hours before I woke up. I just woke up a few times last night. I don't know why. I think the air is getting a little bit drier in New York City. And so I'm waking up with like a stuffy nose. And so I'd say the waking up probably reduced my sleep from 7.5 to 6.45.
Got it. And so roughly when is bedtime and when is wake up time for you, typically?
I wake up at 6 in the morning every morning because my girlfriend needs to go to the hospital. She's a nurse, so that's the time she got to go. So I challenge myself, okay, she's waking up at that time, I'm going to wake up with her. So I try to get in bed, start the bed process around 9:30 p.m. because 10 p.m. would give me the 8 hours. And then I do reading, what invariably happens is I'm a creative at night. My brain's the most creative at night. So I'll get in bed, I'll be reading, and then I'll get 10,000 ideas, and I'll have to wake up, walk to my phone, type it in my Notion, the ideas, go back. And so despite the goal of 10 p.m. being the shut-eye time, it always ends up being like 10:30, 10:45.
Not bad. So a lot of people, thousands of people, look up to you as a leading light in content creation and performing on X. Who do you look to? Who are the folks that you're studying?
So I look for people that do absolutely nothing like what I'm doing. So like I'm very, in a way, info based, or I'm trying to help people learn what I've done. But I think what I strive to do though is be a lot more personality based. I think, right, the people come in because the information I'm giving, but I think what keeps them around is the personality. And so I'm always looking for ways to include more personality in my content so that people, if you're out there, I think a big problem with X right now is people just giving advice. Everyone's just giving advice on X. Here's 10 ways to improve your lifestyle, 10 ways to work out better, 10 ways to get better sleep, whatever it is. It's also very boring. And I think what's separating the people who are giving advice and people are sticking around is, you feel their personality, you feel their emotion, you feel their charisma in what it is they're doing. And so I actually look for comedians and I look for the way they create content. My favorite comedian is Tim Dillon. So I look at his content, see how does he get people to laugh? How does he include emotion in what he's doing? I look at politicians, right? And I don't agree with 99.9% of politicians, but I'll look at the politicians who like truly stir the pot and get people worked up. So I'm looking at Biden's Twitter. I'm looking at Vivek's Twitter. And because they're people who can piss a lot of people off. And I want to see how they're pissing people off. How are they getting people's brains to get either really upset or really happy? And it's that I think that is going to separate a lot of the content creators. So I'm not looking at like other info-based creators. I'm looking at like the ones who can really either make people really upset or really happy and learn what are their methods for creating content.
That's interesting because I do notice that you have a style like on a Twitter, on an X, space that's fascinating. And it's different than say what we're doing on this podcast right now. And I can tell you like it and enjoy it, but it's something that now that I understand, you're looking at comedians and politicians and the way they get people to respond. That's fascinating. I love it. Well, I know we're about to wind down. So I want to give you a quick chance to let the listeners and viewers know where to go so they can and follow you and engage with you.
Yeah, for X, check out Alex Finn. The tag is at NFT_God. That's my main area of content creation. Check that out. I talk about everything under the sun. My newsletter is 1% Better, and that is at 1percentbetter.io. The number 1, then the word %better.io is my newsletter, so feel free to sign up for that. And if you go to those two places, I think you got everything else you need. You'll find out about all my other products and services through those two places.
Bada bing. Yeah, and everyone listening or watching, make sure to check out some of Alex's X spaces. They're a lot of fun. And he's just a great host. So thanks so much for hanging out. Loved learning more about you. And also thanks so much for sharing a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And look forward to
Thanks for the amazing conversation, man. I loved it. You talk about all the things I'm interested on here, so that makes us great.
We try. All right. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Take care.